Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the law of attraction, manifesting success stories show comes in. If you are ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome back. I am here again with Mia. Of course, I'm your host, Cassie Parks, and we are recording this March 23rd, 2021. Welcome, Mia.
Nice to be here, Cassie, as always.
I'm always excited. I always look forward to our conversations. And first, I want to know what's awesome.
Everything. Life is just so awesome right now. I can't think of anything that I want. It's just everything is coming. And so, it's almost even before I can think of it, that stuff is coming. So it's hard to say what's awesome because there's so much.
Oh, that's amazing. Is there any example of, I totally get that almost before I can think of that. Any example that comes to mind that you could share with us about that? Because I know what that is.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like, it seems like an intuition, a lot of the times I do trade in the market options, and I mostly don't spend a lot of screen time. I set my trades up and I put in my closing orders, and mostly I don't look unless something big is happening and I absolutely need to look. But I had a little intuition last week and got out of a trade with a profit, not the total profit that I wanted, like 7% versus 11%, but I felt like it needed to happen. And it was kind of one of these midday things that I don't usually do, right? I did it right on my phone. I didn't even go to my computer. And yeah, the market went the other way and it would have been not so good. And it was just this little inkling, that, hey, I need to pay attention to this and I need to look at this right now and see what needs to happen. And just, it happened. It was really, really good. So.
Amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
So, because I know a couple interviews back, it might have even been almost a year, but because you had kind of paused trading, we had an interview, you were inspired. And so it seems like you've picked that back up. Is that true?
Oh yeah. So obviously, March, we're in tax season. So, all the 1099s are coming in and you finally, get a real look at what you did. And just in one account, on about not more than $12,000 to $14,000 risked at a time, made over $17,000 last year.
Yay!
And it's probably mirrored in my IRA account, but of course, don't need to worry about taxes with that. So
right.
Yeah, really good. And it's not like I didn't have losses either, because that time, it was probably close to a year ago when I was just on a little bit of a losing streak, and it's like, good, time to take a step back and take a pause and see what's going on. And even with those initial losses, that was the profit for the year. So when it was time to get back in, it was time to get back in. And it's not GameStop stuff. It's not like, no, I'm not a millionaire.
Right.
But it's just this constant thing, and it's something I really enjoy. And it's been really fun, and it's one of the nice mirrors I have for seeing how things are progressing. Because I feel like I know better when to be in, when to be out. When to put on, when not to put on, when to get out, when to let it ride. And it's not 100% right all the time, but it's more right than wrong. And that's when you're trading options, that's the most you can hope for, So right. It's really, really, really good. And the rest of life is just like that too. Those are just really super easy examples of what's going on.
Amazing. I love that. And so how would you describe yourself in terms of like being a trader now versus a year ago?
Much less programmed. Occasionally picking up new types of trades. So even my program stuff is fairly what they call short tenor or very short term. So I look in about 2 weeks out for my expiration. So it's not a lot of time. And that's not how I learned. How I learned was longer term, but I applied it to the shorter term. And I'm really comfortable with that. And of late, I've gone even shorter term with trades that are still defined in terms of maximum loss that you can take, but they move even more quickly than the 2 week trades, which I normally stay in for a week or less. These move like within a day or a couple of days, and you really can't let them sit because you actually, even if the market doesn't move, you lose money over time. There's a saying in options trading, if time is good for you, then market movement is not good for you. If market movement is good for you, then time is not good for you. So these are market movement trades, and but you have to be kind of a little bit more right on top of them. And so adding something like that in, but only when it's right, because you need market movement, right? And it's got to move in the right direction, or it's even worse. Only when that's there. So I would say much less kind of programmed with just, one or two types of trades, and bringing in more stuff that has even a different time component to it, but only when it's appropriate. Only when it's, you feel that
feels good.
Yeah, exactly. It feels good. Yeah.
That's
exactly.
awesome. I love it. So I heard like making your own rules and following intuition and in trusting more, it sounds like, because I feel like in a shorter trade, you have to have maybe even more trust that the timing works out, that you'll be available when your intuition is.
Absolutely. And the good thing about these trades is it's pretty simple to put them on, take them off. So it is a little easier to do on the phone as opposed to some of the other trading I do, which is a little bit more complicated. You can do it on your phone, but it takes a longer period of time. So you can move a little more quickly. And, the group I was with, where I learned the basics of options trading, and it was really about time. So you were making your money with time passing. So market movement wasn't good for you. They basically they already told me I'm crazy, because with the trades I started doing, and now I would be really crazy. So I'm not with that group anymore, but it wasn't invaluable. I mean, it was valuable to learn some basics and find the path that fit my own profile rather than somebody else's profile.
And I always, like with money, sometimes people will pitch me things, or they'll think, oh, you should teach your people this about money. You should do this. And my whole thing is, if we line up, we get the path that's best for us. There is no one thing that's best for us. It's finding the path that fits us and is our way to abundance.
Yes, I think that's so right. And it's one of the things that I like about your style of coaching and the Enchanted Circle is people can come from all walks of life and find their very own path, whether it is millions of dollars or whether it is the $100 that I need to make this happen, and everything in between. And it's all very individual for people, but still very, people learn, people progress, they level up, and it's really, and they have more trust in themselves, they learn that part of it, which is really good. Yeah.
It is very good. It's awesome.
And also, I think the thing is just you get lessons, man, and you get tough lessons sometimes, and you learn to put them in the frame where you're not beating yourself up. You put it in the frame of, okay, this is a lesson for me, and this is what I learned from it, and that's and I've always learned from mentors that, hey, it's not about mistakes, it's about take away a lesson. What did you learn? But it comes even deeper and deeper and deeper with what I've been learning in the Enchanted Circle. So
I love that. Have you started, or maybe you always did, but as you were talking about that, had this flash of expecting to make a return on a lesson? Like, do you expect, okay, I learned that lesson, next time I'll have a return of, just a return in general?
yes, and that's the thing. In a lot of, you especially learn it in options because it moves more quickly, but it is for longer term stuff too. It's like, okay, I'm going to take a loss. Let's see if I can take as little a loss as possible. And that's a win.
Mm-hmm.
That's a win right there. And then what do you take away from that you can even go further with, along the line? It's invaluable.
Yeah, I love that. And when you start to expect, okay, this makes the next thing better, the next 5 things better.
Yeah.
It automatic, like you're making that loss up a lot quicker.
A lot quicker. Yeah. And in so many different ways too. If it's about money, it's not just about money, but it's about your psyche and your mindset and your emotional feelings, all those things. It's better.
I love that. You said, I want to go back to this for just a second. In your old group, you would be crazy. Now you'd be really crazy. What did it take for you to be okay with that and say, I'm going to do it anyway?
It took a lot, it took a lot. It took, I think, because it did have something with the beginning of my time in the Enchanted Circle. And I didn't see, it wasn't like, as soon as I, joined and even now it's not like, it's like this whole process of trust. I mean, it's in my money handbook. My money belief handbook is trust. Mm-hmm. And finding stuff. I played with it, while I was in the group, and I'd be with my mentor, like on a Zoom thing, and showing him the trades that I was doing. And he said, wow, holy crap, you must like a lot of excitement. And I'm like, what? What? I don't get that, and it's just like, and some of the other traders would say, oh, Mia, so I see you're doing really good on this. And can you tell me anything about it? But they'd be so skeptical, it'd be like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. It's like, you don't know if you could do that. That's okay. I'm used to that. I'm a winemaker, and I tell people all the time, give 100 winemakers the same grapes and 100, probably 1,000 different wines will come out of it, because every winemaker is going to make 10 different things out of those grapes and, want to show it off. It's different. People want to do stuff different, and that's fine, and it's all good. But for me, it was like trust in myself, not in what, like you said in the beginning, not what other people say, hey, this is the way to do it. Mm-hmm. It's not like you can't take anything away from that kind of training or coaching or mentoring, but you need to realize what's for you and what's not, and where you need to go from there.
Absolutely. What's been one of the biggest things as you've gone through sort of this options training and then developed your place, your path? What's one of the things is there anything along the way that has said, oh, like I need to go this way? Is it an intuition? How did you develop that? Or how did that expand and grow into where you are now?
It's looking, learning a little bit about what all of economics and finance and how money works and how central banks work and all the things that don't apply absolutely directly, but they do affect stuff. To me, they're very interesting, and it gives you such a better foundation and just general place to be when you're putting on these trades. And it's much easier for me to see the important information that I need to keep track of. When I first started, it was like, I need to keep track of, 300 different reports, every week. Yeah. And now if I read a dozen reports, but they're the important ones for me. And if I listen to 1 or 2 podcasts, probably even less than that, probably 1 or 2 podcasts a month that are worth my time, that I will take something away from. That's very valuable, is knowing where to go for the information that you want, and also feeling like you just have this great foundation of what's going on, and the Fed says this and somebody else says this and blah, blah, blah. It's not like you know exactly where the market's going to go or anything like that, but it's just like you have this calm feeling of, okay, this has happened before and this is a little different now. And, these people are suffering over here because of this, and these people are suffering, and how do I, it all comes down to supply and demand, but it's supply and demand of what? That's the whole question. And that's what you try and find out.
Right. Well, and I feel like that's probably what your intuition is better at picking up, like that little thing that somebody says in an article about the Fed, or this little thing that's helping your brain create this picture of, okay, here's the strategy for this week or today. Right.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Talk to us about slowing down.
Slowing down means so much to me. It means literally slowing down. And but I think the bigger issue is trying to control something that you don't need to control. And it's not like I don't care about time, but I see a bigger picture with time. The whole a bigger view, a much wider view, a panorama, so that it isn't about getting this done at this time or hurrying, wanting this to happen quickly, and seeing how things, when they happen in their own time, like not just every now and then, but like 100% of the time, it's supposed to be that way. So for me, it's not only not about hurrying, but it's about not trying to control in a too tight a manner time.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like this is a newer thing for you. Is it newer in the last little while?
Yeah, it is, because, it used to be about, I'm not a very patient person. Well, what patience implies is you're waiting for something,
Right.
You're waiting for something, and that's being in control. That's trying to control it, And when you're not in that realm of waiting, things flow very naturally and quite well, and happily.
Yes.
And happily. Yeah.
Was it a combo of learning and growing? Was it having to go through the things with your knee? Like, what has brought this? Because I feel like you have let go on a whole new level. Like, what's brought that all to be able to just say, I can let go and allow the space?
It's so many things. So I've had a long issue with a knee injury and surgery and coming back from that, and it feels really good right now, but it required a lot of letting go. The whole COVID thing and staying at home, the really letting go of my wine business that was my brand, up to the point now that we've actually made a deal with one of my previous mentors to take that trademark for a small deal, not for a big deal, but the person that I would most want to have the trademark. It's kind of like the last thing. It's the real, it's been done, but it's never really done until it's done. It's really letting go of that. It's, the new puppy we have in our life, and you know what it's like. You've got a kid, you've got a son that you deal with, and it's a whole different variable when you have those kind of things going on. But when you really let go, everything else that even was before the knee injury or stay-at-home orders or anything like that, a new puppy, a new something in your life, the stuff that was there before even flows better. The relationships and the things that you have before even flow better when you stop trying to control it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I love that. So what would you have told yourself a year ago? Like if you could have given yourself the best advice to get here, what would you have said to yourself?
And
maybe it's just do what you did.
Yeah, it's really let go. And I can remember in the Future Self workshop, it was about peacefulness and vulnerability and realizing how vulnerability was just the flip side, the same coin that power was on. And, letting go is the same side of the coin as control, because, it's not like the whole thing is it's not black and white between control and release. There is this place, this real happy zone. It's a pretty big zone where you have some control, but you've released a lot. And you can move it around as it needs to get moved. And that's the other thing that you find out. Where does it need to for this particular thing? Is that a dog I heard in the back?
That is my dog. I forgot to put her in the bedroom.
Cassie has a dog. All right, that's cool.
I do. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
It's happened on my end of the podcast a few times.
When we started, I was like, oh, I'm going to be the one. She's going to bark at some point. I love it. Amazing. Well, I love all that. Anything else you want to share or is on your heart or mind that you really want to share update today?
Well, I think we updated a lot. I felt like, oh my God, what are we going to talk about? And then we had so much to talk about. It was great.
It was amazing. I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing this moment in your journey. I know listeners are going to get amazing stuff and ahas out of this. So thank you.
Always a pleasure, Cassie. You're welcome.
Oh, thank you. So fun. And thank you all for listening. Make sure to come back and check out what else is awesome in Mia's life next time.
Thank you for joining us on the Law of Attraction, Manifesting Success Stories show. To learn how to identify your current money story, go to identifyyourmoneystory.com.